Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Caitlin. Yes, I do have a microphone in my hand because I need to try to situate myself. I thought I had it figured out and I am in a very small space. So I'm just going to hold the microphone and talk to you guys. Same situation. I think in later videos, I'm going to take more time to categorize the videos and be more succinct and organized. To be honest though, I just wanted to get some videos out because I've been itching to make videos for literal years. And I've always been too scared to do it, but I am taking the steps to do it now. So I just wanted to read a few stories to you. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the vibe of my channel, if you like me. Leave your comments down below, all of that stuff. And we're just going to read a few videos, and if you've seen any of my other stuff, you know that I read the handle of the person that wrote the story and then the title and then read the story. I'll probably stop along the way to add some commentary, but that's how I'm going to do it for now. It will probably change as nothing is set in stone right now, but let's go ahead and get started. What do you think? So this one is, we're switching. This one is by I Love Bananas and Beans. It's called My Brother Isn't Made of Flesh and Blood. I was 6 years old when I first started begging my parents for a baby brother. I was lonely at home as both of them worked long hours, and I didn't have many friends at school. Not that I was allowed to spend any time with them outside of school anyways. My parents were absent and strict, which was a combination that made for a very boring childhood for me. So when I figured out that a sibling would mean someone to play with, I was of course very excited and tried to negotiate the only way 6-year-old me knew how to, promising to tidy my room, eat my vegetables, and do my homework. But nothing I said ever made them budge, even the slightest. Frustrated after what felt like the 6th millionth time I'd been rejected, I finally gave up and went to, I don't know, kick rocks or whatever else my younger self had to do to be entertained, while my parents left for work yet again. Maybe I could have secretly had friends around when they weren't home, but my innocent little do-gooder never dreamt of doing something so rebellious. Not until it was too late, anyway. When I was 12, my father died in a fatal car crash on his daily commute to the office. According to my mother, he was dead before the paramedics even arrived on scene, and from what I've been told, it was a nasty crash that was basically impossible to survive. If this is a true story, which they're supposed to be, I'm very sorry for your loss. That's terrible. Of course, I grieved and mourned and felt lost like any person would. But my mother, well, she was something else. She didn't even seem upset at first, as if his death was the best thing that could have happened to her. I was confused, but I didn't question it. Grief affects people in different ways, after all. But when she started asking me if I still wanted a brother, then I knew something really was up. I suspected she was cheating on him, and maybe that's why she was so unfazed by his passing. Angry didn't even begin to describe how I felt, but the reality was so much worse than I ever could have expected. Venturing into the basement one day to search for a lost console or something, I can't even remember what now, I first saw a huge block of something gray, cold, and rock solid in the middle of the room, a tray of strange tools beside it. Small hammers, chisels, even knives. But still, it didn't click. It took her many years to complete her creation, and she was livid whenever she caught me investigating, so I had to learn to be sneaky. At first, I didn't know what she was doing, but over time, it became obvious she was carving something from the stone. That's what it was. I know, because I asked her. She wouldn't tell me anything else. The statue gradually began to take the shape of a small boy, very intricately detailed, down to the textures of his skin and each individual hair on his head. My mother took great care to ensure he was perfect, it seemed. When I was 16, she introduced me to Austin. "Connor, meet your brother Austin," she smiled expectantly. I looked in horror at the lifelike kid in front of me. blinking and breathing, though I knew it was artificial, and his vibrant emerald green eyes didn't belong to him. His clothes and hair and skin didn't belong to him. I was nauseated, but I could see how happy he made my mother, so I had to play along. Hi, Austin, I stammered. Connor, he nodded his head and held out a hand to shake. I tried. I really did, but I just couldn't. How was he so smooth, so flawless? It just wasn't right. Don't ask me how I knew he was the boy from the carving, because I don't know. I just did. I had seen that face preserved in stone for years, even though now it was colorful and animated. It sent chills down my spine and made my skin crawl. After all these years, I've moved far, far away from my childhood home, and good riddance. Austin still haunts my dreams to this day. Though I'm still lonely, I know I'll never wish for a brother again. A few months ago, it finally clicked where I've seen Austin's parts before. He looks just like my dead father. And I'm only now starting to wonder if my beating heart is sending blood around my body or stone.
Oh my god!
So the mom... I wonder, number one, that doesn't sound like a real story, because that would be news everywhere, like, what the fuck? But the mom carved a statue out of stone, and then, I mean, I'm kind of confused. Did that happen? Or did she just, like, grave rob her deceased husband and take body parts from him and put, like, what kind of witchcraft and wizardry is going on here that a statue came to life? That is very scary, and that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't like that. Okay, this one is by Bad Alice 13, and it's called My Sister Saw Our Deceased Great-Grandfather. This is the second story of paranormal encounters I've had over the years. When I was 8 years old, my maternal great-grandmother died unexpectedly. She wasn't terribly old, and she hadn't been sick. She died on Halloween, and she would have thought that fact hilarious. We moved into her house shortly after. Granny was kind of a pack rat, so we were clearing out a lot of stuff on the day before we were moving in. The larger of the two bedrooms in the house had a door to the outside. My sister was 4 years old at the time and was playing in that room. At some point, we all went into that room, and my mother told my sister that she would be sharing the room with her. My brother and I would be in the other bedroom. My sister told my mother, "The old man said it could be my room now." All of the adults freaked out. The adults double-checked that the side door was locked and went outside to see who was creeping around. I didn't know why they were so up in arms at the time, but later learned they thought a man who lived in the second house down had come over. He was a major creep. The adults asked my sister what the man looked like and what exactly he said, still thinking it was the neighborhood perv. She described the man and said he told her that it used to be his room, but it was her room now. My great-grandfather had passed well before I was born. He was considerably older than Granny, so none of the great-grandkids had ever met him. Granny didn't have family photos on the walls or displayed anywhere. My aunt dug out a photo album and took out a bunch of old photos of male relatives. My sister picked out our great-grandfather's photos as a man who talked to her. My mother, being her usual annoying self, refused to believe it and swore my aunt somehow led my sister into choosing the photo. I was sitting right there. She did nothing of the sort. My mother remained convinced it was the neighborhood creep. The creepy guy was short and fat, as big around as he was tall. Our great-grandfather was very tall and lanky. Even though my sister was only 4 at the time, I can't see her confusing the two. The house didn't have a water heater. It had a lovely custom-built shower, but man, cold showers were a pain. They were nice in the face-melting heat of the summer, but not so much at other times. I was in the shower one day, muttering to myself about the water, when I heard my granny's voice, clear as a bell, saying, "It won't kill you." I didn't see her, though. I was very disappointed because I missed her. No one ever saw Great-Grandpa, or Granny for that matter, ever again. That is so funny that the granny said it won't kill you, because I think that's what my grandma would say to me, like, get over it, it won't hurt you, take a shower. And I also agree, I don't think the sister would get it confused either, because my daughter is almost 4, and I'm very confident that she wouldn't be able to know the difference between someone who's tall and lanky and someone who is short and a little bit rotund in appearance. I don't think the sister got it wrong. I think the mom was just in denial because she was scared and didn't want to think that her daughter had seen the great grandpa, that's, which is normal. I think it was a really cute story, and sometimes I wish that I could see my grandpa. He passed away a long time ago. He was sick, and sometimes I wish that I could see him. I've seen him in my dreams and stuff, but sometimes, I wish that I could see him in person. And then sometimes I'm like, dude, would I really want that? Because I think it would scare the shit out of me. I think it would scare the shit out of me to see him, knowing that he's passed away, and then to actually see him, that would be scary. Have any of you experienced that? Have any of you seen your family members after they've passed away and, had actual experiences with them, like talked to them and stuff? I think those stories are so interesting, because how can you see somebody and talk to somebody and experience that when they're not physically in this realm anymore? It's crazy to me. All right, this one is by top-duck 4641, and it's titled "My Friend's Encounters with Her Aunt Years After She Passed." So my best friend and I first met in 6th grade. Both our families were going through basically the same thing, a parent being unfaithful, being forgotten in the mix of that whole thing, and we bonded very closely. She eventually moved in with me when we were probably 12, but we would take turns on weekends, either staying at her mom's or her dad's. We were so close, we told one another everything. We even dressed like twins for years. Anyway, she had told me about her Aunt Jenny, who passed before she was born. She was her mother's only sibling. So anyways, I had talked to her and her mom about it separately, and both stories were the same, except one experienced it on a semi-regular basis, and one was told it by a 4-year-old. So what my friend would tell me is she briefly remembered how her aunt would visit her. She would float above her bed and tell her all about her likes and dislikes. One of her likes being she rode horses, and she had even seen her riding a horse, wearing her riding gear and all, right outside her bedroom window. Somehow, at age 4, this conversation came up, and she told her mom, "Yeah, I know all about Aunt Jenny. She visits me all the time and tells me about her horses, and her favorite color is purple, and I saw her riding her horse wearing a purple jacket." Of course, this left her mom totally dumbfounded and in awe, because of everything her 4-year-old was telling her was true and correct. She knew she had never told her these things, so it had to have happened, right? I know I've had my experiences with the paranormal, so I know it's real. I relate to it. I relate it to the fact that I'm a believer in God and spirituality. Unfinished business or not, oh my gosh, I can't read. Unfinished business or just having a close bond with someone. I think my grandma stays with me because we're so close. I think Aunt Jenny was there because she couldn't miss out on getting to know her oldest niece and letting her personally get to know her. We're still best friends to this day, and she still remembers all of it. And her mom, I'm sure, will never forget her 4-year-old, who she never told this stuff to, telling her about her sister's visits. I agree with you. I don't think the mom will ever forget that. I think the mom probably still tells people about that, when people get around and tell ghost stories and stuff like that. That's how my family is, but I think that's so sweet that the aunt, I think a family member coming to visit you should always be a nice experience. I don't think you should be terrified if you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be a bad sign. I think that I would take it as something posing as my family member to get close to me and trick me, you know? Like, I cannot imagine. I think I would be in shock. What do you guys think? Would you guys be in shock, or would you guys totally embrace it and be excited and like want to talk and ask questions and do all you could, or would you like hide and put the covers over your face? Like, what would you guys do? Because I think it's easy to say what you would do when you've never experienced it, but when you're actually faced with that, what you would do is something totally different, you know? So, we're going to read this one, and I think this is going to be the last one. This one is by Sadly Spooky, and it's called I've Had a Shadow Person Follow Me Most of My Life. As far back as I can recall, there's always been a presence in and around myself and members of my family. As a child, my parents dismissed the things I'd see and feel as me having an overactive imagination. What'd I tell you? There were things I would relay, feelings that overwhelmed me, and some of these beings just existed, no malice or good, just around. My mom was the most adamant about it being nothing, so much so I stopped talking about or telling them what these beings were feeling or doing. The house I spent most of my life in was where I met the dark man, who would watch me and my sister. He wasn't scary, just curious. It turned out the landlord's husband had died in the house, but my sister and I weren't told this till we were adults. Now, this shadow person or thing has been with me for a very long time. It was very different from the dark man. It has always followed me, and as a kid, I assumed it was just a figment of my imagination, so I wasn't very alarmed. It was just another being around. This one wasn't as kind, though. It clung to me and would scratch at me, fill me with terror, and emit so much dark energy. I didn't tell my parents, though. I did try to reach out to others, but I was told I was ridiculous or crazy, so I kept it to myself. I didn't tell another soul till I was 17, and that person saw firsthand what I had been hiding for a long time. Writing it out feels wrong. I'm an adult now, and its presence is still felt, but it doesn't reach out as much. We have an understanding, so to speak. My boyfriend, though, unfortunately, taunted it after I told him about this thing that follows me. That made things worse for a little while. He had horrible nightmares and became fearful, eventually made amends with the shadow. That is terrifying, and I feel so sorry that the parents didn't believe you and your mom told you you were being ridiculous. That is crazy. And your boyfriend should know better not to taunt things like that. That is ridiculous. I think these were some pretty good stories. I liked them. I had a good time. And I want to know your guys' stories in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.